Hello, hi. This is Khairul from DT Leadership in my Innovation Literacy series webinar. So today we are going to touch a little bit about Be Visual, right? So Be Visual is one of the elements in the philosophy of design thinking. So welcome back to the new webinar. So Be Visual means putting things in visual, yeah? As simple as sketching, doodling, right? In design thinking, presenting a complex idea through drawing is commendable. It is easier to do that, right? So let me share with you a screen, some slides that I prepared to guide our session. So once again, corporate culture is dead, build innovation culture instead, right? Okay, so be visual. All right, so I hope you can see this. Right, so since 1982, art therapy is used one at sanatorium for tuberculosis patients. This is TB patients, right? So what happened is, according to the study which was done in 1942, it says that art therapy is being used. The reason being is because it gives a certain feeling of calmness, relaxation, right? To the patients. TB at the time, 1940s, was bad, especially towards the World War One, World War Two, and after World War Two, it was quite bad. It was fatal, by the way. So what happened is, patient that is hospitalized was given an art therapy, right? Drawing for at least 45 minutes lowers down cortisol level effectively, right? So it turns out from another study, if you draw at least 45 minutes, it lowers down cortisol level. Cortisol is a kind of hormone that is released when you are stressed, right? So when you are stressed, you are panic, your cortisol level increase, right? So what you want is more of the dopamine and the serotonin, right? These are the happy ones, right? And the healing hormones, right? So when you draw, you actually get some benefits medically or in terms of your health. So this is where the part where in innovation, typically it sounds like very business-like, very financial-like, very bottom line-like, sometimes very much like startup, which is not that I'm not against. I was there for a while. I was there chasing uh, VCs, investors looking for some good deals, so to speak, looking at term sheets. And then I realized that that shouldn't be innovation. That's purely financial, right? Financial economics. So when it comes to innovation at the discovery stage, yeah, this is the part that you like to discover, you like to explore. So you do drawing, you be visual, right? So this is my actual drawing, which was done 10 years ago. And I was taking additional course on design thinking and prototyping. So this is what we call a storyboard. Actually, it was the topic is about going to town, right? Going to town. So if you look at these four quadrants, there's a number one, number two, number three, number four, right? Can you imagine if I were to do this in writing? Wouldn't it be difficult to understand? I would say actually there are three houses. They are thinking about going to town A. Each of them has a car and they're planning to go to town A for shopping, for example, right? So, and number two, on their way to town A, there was a massive traffic, right? So you can see people are queuing up, going to the cities for shopping, people are rushing out, going there, right? And number three, yeah, they came back and then they hang around with the community space. They were sharing that, you know what? There was jam back to town A, right? So one of the innovation is that they realize, hey, I think we should go to town A together, right? So if that was being done in written format, right, it would be difficult to understand. But because I did it visually, I draw, although my drawing is bad, I admit that I still draw like this. This is what I had in my mind. But by the way, a drawing is a learned skill. You can become a good a drawer, a good artist who can draw really well through a lot of practice, right? My father is a good artist. He actually did portraits, right? My wife also, same class with me in the art class, but I didn't do well. She did really well. She is a leftist. She draw really well and color really, really well, right? So my point is, drawing actually helps to explain complex idea more effectively. And the funny part is why we didn't draw, because we usually stop drawing as we enter adolescence. As an adult, we feel that drawing is too childlike. Drawing probably one of the least skill we have, because most of the time the skill that we have is more on the finance, the commercial, the presentation, or probably we get laughed at last time because your drawing that you did was more like mine, you know. I used to feel that also until I was immersed in the design thinking and innovation. And when I ran boot camp, I joined boot camp, I realized, wow, drawing actually changed the way the ideas, concepts being communicated, right? So the interesting part also, drawing activates the medial prefrontal cortex, which is at the front here, which is used mostly as what we call the executive function, yeah, part of the brain. The executive function part of the brain is normally used or being triggered or activated when we would like to solve problems, when we would like to make decisions, right? So when you try to draw, actually you're trying to connect the ideas, you're trying to connect the dots so that you can visualize it in front of you and to present it to someone else, right? And the best part is, as you draw, you are unconsciously thinking about the person or the stakeholder you're planning to present to, right? So you try to do two things at once, which is actually very good. For example, if you try to draw a circle in your mind, you're actually trying to draw an emoji, right? So the different strokes of those emoji, what we call lines, could represent an angry emoji, a smiley, a confusing, a, a go-to emoji. So this is what we call drawing. So drawing actually helps when you try to visualize complex ideas. Another interesting studies also say that a mere 10 minutes drawing improve participants' mood regardless of their talent. This I observe directly in my bootcamp workshops in running when I do run design thinking training and as well as coaching. So in this session, I have a number, I think about 3 or 4 times, moment where the learners participant have to draw, right? The first one, when they draw, I give them a text, a story. They have to draw based on that story, right? Of course, they were perplexing, thinking, Carol, what do you want us to do? I say, just draw. You read the text, just draw. And amazingly, right, each of the learners have their own unique understanding. Some of which is not very hard to understand, but the moment they present it, then I understand it, right? And the rest also, okay, now I get it, right? So this is how the person who draw already has anticipated the stakeholder that they try to present their drawings to, right? So, and typically in the drawing session, most of the time, I wouldn't say 100%. I think about 98 to 97% of the time, the mood lifted. Those 1 or 2% I had experienced where the participants do not feel very comfortable in drawing for some traumatic past events. Drawing somehow trigger that emotions, that anxieties. Okay, but those are very minimal. I had that before. I even asked the person to just do what you can on those papers, right? And you have the right not to explain if you want. So that ended like that. So, but typically it actually lifted the mood, right? So in design thinking philosophies, I've shared this before in my other slides. There's one part called be visual, right? So being visual is using sketching, doodling, drawing, yeah, even doing a little what we call a paper prototyping, use paper folding, origami, right? So these are what we call be visual. In other words, you try to translate those ideas into a visual means, right? So why don't adults draw? Draw is for kids only, right? So this is a typical belief for adults. Oh, I don't draw. I probably behave like kids. Draw is not serious enough for business. Yeah, this is another thing that I mentioned just now. The business tend to be very serious about numbers, about being to get it right, because drawing typically you try to explore certain ideas, certain frame, certain parameters. Sometimes you don't have parameters, you just have to draw what you like. Yeah. And this is typical in our presentation, over reliant on PowerPoint slides, right? So drawing also can become a good communication tool where you don't prepare slides as much, you draw. Yeah, you draw what we call timeline, you draw checkpoints, you draw processes to make connections with the audience and your material, right? You don't necessarily have to build slides, right? So this is also another reason why we don't draw, we have an over-reliant. And visual design helps convey complex ideas simple, right? We said this just now. So again, this is the emoji I talked to you about just now. In design thinking or in some innovation bootcamp, I took the opportunity sometime to give them the circle challenge. I give them nothing about 30 circles. So they draw what they like with the circles, right? This example emoji with different strokes, you get a different emotion. The drawings actually speaks to you, talk to you, right? And mind you, please, probably you already know, but I wish to tell you that the thumb sign was actually created in a bootcamp. Yeah, in the bootcamp in Facebook bootcamp, right? If you remember, during around 2008, 2009, when Facebook first came, they used the word like L-I-K. See, so even Facebook at the beginning didn't quite understand the visual, right? But again, of course, they've improvised. Now they even have their own emoji, right? So again, draw, be visual is one of the key tenets and design thinking. Try to present your innovative ideas. So basically, that's all for today. Be visual. I hope you enjoyed the session. See you again in another round with the next pro tip on design thinking philosophies. What next? Bye-bye.